Good morning. It is Monday morning, means time for some Motivational Monday. My name is Christopher Donnell, the pastor here at Urbana United Methodist Church. Hopefully your week's starting off strong, good weekend, and you're ready for what's next. Today, talking about the narrow road. The narrow road that Jesus talks about is in Matthew 7, and it comes a couple chapters after he starts the Sermon on the Mount, which is the Beatitudes. It's the moments where he talks about the hard topics such as being salt and light and turning the other cheek and not judging your neighbor. He talks about murder, adultery, divorce, giving to the needy, prayer, not worrying. And as this sermon starts winding down, he sums it all up with this about the narrow gates in Matthew 7, 13 and 14. He says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." So he shares all this hard, challenging stuff, and then he goes, because it's like walking a really thin path. But the broad path leads to destruction. And then to find the life and to find the goodness that he's called us to through this sermon, it's a very narrow gate that we have to come to. So to ride on a road that's narrow, we couldn't be reckless and running through the guardrails and off the side of the cliffs and then miss the gate is what Jesus is getting at here. And that pushes against everything that we kind of want to do, our comfort, our self-preservation, the building of ourself. Jesus' words in the Sermon on the Mount push against all that, and it's so much so he refers to it as a narrow road that we are called to walk, a tightrope, if you will. And so as you think about the tough things in your life, last week we talked about doing the hard things. If you think about doing the hard things, and when you do them, you're walking this narrow road. But the moment we don't turn the other cheek or we ignore the needy, we start to go and drift off the road. And so I invite you to question, to look inside and ask, am I walking the narrow road? It's a really tight space. You're not going to have always the most comfort there, but it is the road that leads to everlasting life. So this week I invite you to ask yourself, am I walking the narrow road, or am I drifting on that big path to destruction? Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.